Let's see. So Tim, from your recollection, did you guys always did you immediately zoom in on the Chicago painting because of the water tower?
Well, the painting, the clues are obvious. It's the verses. I think that's where Bob and Dave did most of that work together.
Yeah.
'Cause did someone ask about the M and Beast? Like, did that come naturally?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, because I'd punt to Bob on that because I think they figured out most of I mean, again, if you live here, the pictures it's pretty
It's
obvious. The
obvious.
clues are obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those first three big ones, the water tower and the
Yeah.
pole,
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yeah. And
So
then
you
once
guys,
I guess once you figure out that man and beast, that statue, it's right next to Lincoln. You figure out the L, and you know what verse you're using. Where L sits left.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I guess, well, maybe I'll just ask that question, Rob. How did you get the painting? Like you said, was pretty obvious, but how did you come? How did you come to the verse? Guinness. Oh, I got a hat. I'm not wearing green.
I'm not exactly sure how we came across the verse, but I think it was where L sits. I think is what it was for the Chicago one. So
Because you were
and,
like,
and Congress R is known, right? Because
and
Congress
it's another
Parkway's
one.
right there.
somebody in the comments is making fun of us now. It only took you guys 8 months to solve this thing, and we're going on 40 years and can't figure anything out. Guess who the smart people in the room are? They're down below.
It's certainly not me.
But you guys were going super simple. You found the images in images in the painting that gave you the city, and then you said L sits in Congress, and you knew you were in the right place, and you just followed the instructions. But when you got to the end, you didn't know what to do. When you got to the end of 10 by 13, I don't even think towards the end you guys didn't really even know what 10 by 13 meant, right?
Well, Tim figured it out.
That's my only claim to this fame is that
That's a pretty big claim to fame, Tim.
No. You think of all the clues in that verse and the pictures, and it just, I mean, didn't we do like 10 by? We were doing multiplication, and
We were
130 degrees, and we
remember
were trying to shoot an azimuth. But then it's like there's all the, and if you've been to the site, which I think you have, George,
I have.
I don't know. Yeah, so there's just these rows of trees, and so it kind of made sense that it would be at the end of 10 trees by 13 trees, and then there's that fixture that's kind of right there at the end of 10 by 13. So, and I don't remember the timeline because I know Bob, I don't know if it was you or Dave, contacted Byron and said, we're right on top of it, right? We're just.
Mom told us if we get arrested in the city of Chicago, she's not coming to get us
again.
So I've heard two stories, and I think these stories are not contradictive. I think two of you you guys contacted Byron twice, maybe, because there's one story that you guys contacted Byron's office, and a lady told you that there was no treasure buried in Chicago, and to not call back. And then another time someone contacted Byron and said that they were like a stockbroker and they were on the site and there was construction and there was a large piece of concrete next to where you were supposed to dig. That's always been a story that's been told, that there was a pad of concrete and then Byron was like, I'll just help you out and send you a picture.
The concrete is, we dug until we hit the foundation of the bridge there. So that was the concrete. And we're like, well, isn't it supposed to be somewhere between, Bob, keep me honest here. Isn't it was it supposed to be buried?
I don't remember
12...
concrete. That's what I was going to say, but I do remember that. I mean, the hole.
It was deep.
I mean, we didn't hit any concrete, but I remember Danny standing in the hole. I mean, that's a big hole.
And it wasn't supposed to be deeper than, say, 20 inches, and we had already dug like 4 feet. How did we miss this thing? And we were like, and so I think, Bob, you had taken a picture of it and you sent it to him.
Yeah.
And then the answer back from New York was, well, I can't understand why you haven't found it. Here's the picture of it when I buried it. So we kind of married up the pictures. Wasn't that it, Bob? I can't remember.
No. Because he wanted an explanation of how close it was, and that's why I drew that map.
Yes, the map.
So that's what I sent him.
That was an
that's
odd
when
map.
He sent a letter back that said, I don't know why you can't find it. You're right on top of it.
On top of it, yeah.
That's when he sent the map back with the photograph.
So there's lots of angles in that map because you've still got the map, Rob, but the best picture we have of the map comes from that news program, and there's lots of angles on that map that nobody really ever understood. Were you guys trying to do like 130 degrees or something?
That was one of the.
One thing I wanted to test out was also 10 by 13. And I was wondering what 130 degrees would be if you stood in front of Lincoln and went like left 130 degrees. Would that also line up with the 10 by 13 trees? Here.
Somebody in the comments wants to know who your dungeon master was.
Dave James.
David James was dungeon master.
Was he good? Well, I guess he was if you were up until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Eric was also a dungeon master a few times. All right, so here I got the map. Let's see if I can hold that up so you can see that.
Yeah.
And it's reversed.
So you were looking at 130 degrees from the Lincoln statue. Huh.
Yes. I thought of that recently. I think it was when Mike Stewart came into town and he did that 360 degree photo sweep somewhere, and I believe he has it on Google Maps somewhere. If you go to Google Maps, you can find that picture standing right on top of it.
So here's a question for Tim. Everyone has a different answer to this. Rob has a different answer from Eric. Well, really, the only two people who have ever answered is Rob and Eric, and both of them have a different answer. Sure. And both of those are different from the news article, or the news program that was on. Do you remember where this thing was buried?
No.
Rob said he thinks it's buried near where one of the new trees were, directly in front of the fence post. In the news program, Eric says that it's buried over near the bridge because they were leaning up against the bridge when they threw the shovel and the sliver of dirt came down.
The bridge is that. Tim, do you remember?
So wait, what is the question? Do I remember?
Do you remember where the cask was buried? Yeah.
Was the hole closer to the bridge or further away? You remember the arch?
Yeah. I would say it was probably 10 feet from the fence, so east of the fence, right? for the high season, right? It was 10 feet off that fence, and
because you just put that 10 feet off is directly in line with where the fixture box was.
Yeah, I don't think it was that close to the bridge. I don't remember leaning on the bridge. I don't remember leaning on it. I thought we were all around it, so I thought it was a little bit, maybe 15 feet south of the actual bridge itself, 10 to 12 feet.
I would concur.
So we were not leaning on we weren't that close to that to the bridge. We weren't.
The reason I ask is that people often try to find an exact spot because no one can really find exact spots in the rest of the puzzles, right? But we don't know exactly where this one was buried, so it's hard to find an exact spot. If you're saying it's about 10 feet directly out from that fence post, that puts you in line with the fixture box. So if you line those two up and you get at the center point and dig a hole, you'd find the cask.
But I haven't been there in years. And so, is there a tree planted there?
There is now, yeah. Yeah, they've planted a whole new row of trees.
Yeah, because there was a path. There was a paved path there too, right, Bob? Isn't there?
The paved path is still there.
Yeah. Okay.
That this one, George?
What was I going to say?
Yeah.
I know you guys don't have a sense of this, but I'm like, Tim, if you had any idea how many hundreds of hours I just sit thinking about these details that you're talking about, and you're talking about 10 by 13. I'm on the edge of my seat. That's how nerdy I am about this, and as are thousands of people.
Yeah,
there will be so many people that will watch this video hanging on the edge of their seat, listening to your every word if they can just get one more piece of information. So,